Welcome to Get the Facts. This is the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm Theodore Henry. As part of the government's modernization of the electricity sector, a regulatory body has been implemented. Through the Government Electrical Regulator, GER, the aim is to have oversight of training, registration, licensing, and compliance of electricians. Sharing more on this process is Acting Chief Regulator Seymour Walters. Welcome to the program, Mr. Walters.
Good afternoon, Mr. Henry.
Yes. All right, so let's jump right into getting the facts. I listed a few things a while ago that the GER does, but you're going to have to tell me the details.
Right.
So, first of all, what prompted the formation of the GER?
There was the need for the government to have a modernized electrical system that is very competitive, safe, and reliable. So out of this need came the Government Electrical Regulator.
Right.
So in 2015, both the upper and lower House of Parliament passed the Electricity Act.
Right.
And from this act, in 2020, the Government Electrical Regulation came into being. And from the regulation, the GR came about. And its function, part of its function, is to actually regulate and help to modernize the electricity sector within the country.
So if I'm getting this right, the GER's focus is on those people that, to put it simply, wire buildings and set up electricity in buildings and...
Yes, and those who actually inspect. Because you have the electricians who would actually do the actual wiring of the buildings.
Right.
And then the inspectors now are the ones who actually inspect to ensure that the wiring done according to the codes of the electricity.
So let's talk a bit more on that because we live in Jamaica.
Yes.
So you know that the idea of wiring a building seems like, a man just do a thing. But what we have said is that the GER, according to my notes, is into the training of electricians, and you're going to help me understand that, the registration, the licensing, and you mentioned investigation. But let's start with the training of electricians. What's that about?
Well, in a sense, for one to be registered as an electrician, he or she must have some form of training in electrical installation.
Okay.
So one might come and there are three categories of electricians. And based on the level of training and years of experience, one can fall into either of the category 1 to 3, 1 being the highest.
I see.
And that individual must have at least a diploma in electrical engineering, power, have at least 15 years experience.
This is class 1 we're talking about.
Yeah, category 1.
Category 1, yes.
Right, 15 years experience in electrical wiring, while category 2 now also requires a diploma in electrical engineering.
Right.
Have at least 5 years experience in electrical wiring, while category 3, which is the lowest, must have at least a HART level 3 diploma with 5 years experience.
So if I'm reading you right, and based on what you're saying to me, it's not that the GR is going to be training the electricians, but is setting up the standard by which they can be employed.
Right, certified.
Certified.
Yeah.
Right, so you come with your training.
Yes.
All right, so registration now. Registration and licensing. Let's talk about the two of those together.
Yes. Registration, electricians. Licensing, inspectors. 2 categories.
All right.
So, the registration now, as I mentioned, the electrician will come with the necessary qualification and years of experience with other details like a police record and recommendation, justice of the peace or whatever. And based on that, the category 2 and 3, they are given an exam. And based on the exam, if they are successful, they are placed in either category 2 or 3.
Okay.
The exam is conducted by the committee
Yes.
of examiners.
Right.
All right? And that is actually part of the requirement of the GR now to establish a committee of examiners.
So we're formalizing the field.
Yes.
For safety and security, which we're going to talk about a bit more. But you have mentioned inspectors before, and I want you to help me understand the role of the inspector and the licensing that goes along with that.
Right. So the inspectors now, just as you would have 3 categories of electrician, there are 3 categories of inspectors.
Right.
Category 1 to 3, 1 being the highest. And these individuals can work on any voltage from 110 up to 138,000 volts.
All right.
Right? These inspectors now, they become licensed based on the qualification, years of experience working in the field.
Right.
And they are now recommended to the minister by the chief regulator.
Well, let me ask you something. What is it that they're inspecting? What's the play in between the electrician and the inspector?
So a customer needs his or her premises to be wired.
Right.
That customer now would come and engage the electrician.
All right.
Upon completion of the work, the electrical installation, the customer now engages a licensed inspector who will now come and assess the work done by the electrician to ensure that it is done according to the codes,
right,
electrical codes.
Understood.
If done according to the codes, then it is certified. And that's when now JPS comes in to connect that system to the JPS grid.
Understood.
If it's not done according to codes, then it cannot be connected to the grid.
Understood. All right. So we have established the groundwork of what the GER does and how the electricians are registered.
Yeah.
The inspectors are licensed.
Yeah.
We have understood how they work together.
Yeah.
We're going to go to our break now. And after the break, Sir Walters, you're going to help me talk through some of the instances that you've seen and some of the work that the GR is about to do. So the conversation, Mr. Walters, continues on the other side of this break. We're learning about the GER. We're learning about electricity. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Get the Facts. We are continuing our conversation with Acting Chief Regulator Seymour Walters of the Government Electrical Regulator, GER. Mr. Walters, let's pick up our conversation.
Yes, Mr. Henry.
Those who are with us understand now that we're setting up this framework for electricians to be properly, well, we're checking that they're trained and classified with the right experience. And it's not that we're leaving the electricians to just do work. We're also setting up investigators.
Yes.
I have that right so far.
Yes.
How does this system help with safety? Because you mentioned that this was something about safety.
Right. As I mentioned before, it is desired to have a safe electrical system.
Right.
And how does the safety comes about? It's a system where, as I mentioned, the electrician, based on experience and knowledge, they would have carried out the work.
Right.
There's another tier in the inspector who would have carried out the inspection to ensure that it is done according to codes and conduct.
Yes.
Also, I must mention that within the GR, there's a team of compliance officers. These officers would go out on a random review to ensure that whatever is said by the inspectors and the electrician are done according. So we're making sure we're holding people accountable. But what kind of breaches have you seen which are endangering people that makes the GR so necessary? We have not seen many breaches because the electricians and the inspectors, it is their job and they are aware of the implications.
Right.
Not only that, if there are breaches, then the license and the license can be revoked.
Right, if the breaches are detected and not corrected.
And not corrected. Right. So whenever our compliance officers would go out, and if there are any breaches, they would report it. And I would write to the customer, to the electrician,
yes,
and to the inspectors, informing them of the breaches, right? And giving them a timeline to correct those breaches. Right?
Yeah. So the GR is already working for the safety of the people.
They are working.
Because we have heard some horror stories of what happens when electrical work goes bad.
Right.
But I want to talk about the process of becoming a registered or certified electrician. Can you share that with us? How does one go about joining that cadre of skilled electricians?
I must mention about the TEAs, technical electrical assistants.
Right.
These are like apprentices, right? Who they might just complete the hard certification without the experience.
Right.
These individuals now are assigned to an electrician or to an inspector for 5 years, and they would have worked alongside these individuals to come up to par in terms of, and by so doing, they can now apply to become a registered electrician.
At Category 3, as you mentioned.
At Category 3, based on the 5 years experience and the art diploma.
So part of the GR setup is ensuring that skilled people do the trade.
Do the trade.
Right. And
that is it. Try to get as many. Because remember, the thing, is to ensure that we have a safe, reliable, efficient electrical system.
Right.
So it requires trained personnel, skilled personnel for us to have that.
And I can see the setup there. Not only do you have the oversight body of make sure that you are trained, we have the inspectors doing the inspections, but we're also having this sort of apprenticeship.
New persons coming in.
Okay, okay.
And I must say that.
Yes, go ahead.
Both the electricians and the inspectors have that option to move up in classes and in categories.
Also, they apply.
So you might start out as a Category 3 electrician. And over the years, you might have garnered more experience.
Right.
And you might have increased your qualification. You might have gone to a university to increase your qualification. So based on that improvement now, you can apply to move up in category. So you move up to the next category.
All right.
Similar thing applies for the inspectors
as well.
Move up in class.
Understood. You had mentioned the possible revocation of a license if they consistently breach and ignore the orders to fix.
Right.
Are there any other ways in which a license can be revoked? For example, what if you aren't practicing for a certain number of years?
Well, it would not be revocation. The individual can just ask for it to be suspended.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Understood. Now, I understand that there's a resource center on the Ministry of Science and Technology's website where people can find more information.
Right.
What sort of information is there?
So, in that resource center now, you will find the list of registered electrician and the list of licensed inspectors in the different categories. The parishes where they live and where they operate from. But I must make it be clear that not because they are in a particular parish, they only work in that parish.
Of course.
No, they are able to work across the length and breadth of Jamaica.
Sure.
So you might be living in Westmoreland and you are called to do a job in St. Thomas.
So this is not just a resource for the electricians or the inspectors, but for me who I'm going to build my house.
And that is why we are trying to make it a one-stop. So as a customer, you are able to come onto the system. You are able to see the list of electricians and the list of inspectors. So right there and then you are able to engage.
Right, and make your choice,
Right. And the thing about it, you are able to do it wherever you are.
Right. It's on the website. Yeah. Sir Walters, we have gotten quite a few facts about the GER, and I am aware that we have electricians watching this program, people
Yes.
who may be seeking to engage with electricians, who want to ensure the safety of their building. This is your moment to speak directly to those who are watching. An encouragement, instruction, what have you. Speak to our audience and tell them what they need to know.
Well, first of all, I would want to talk to the customers. If you're going to do any form of wiring to your premises, you need to engage the service of a registered electrician and the licensed inspectors. Also to the electricians out there, you are being encouraged to come and register, to be on our system so that we have a safe and reliable, efficient electrical service.
Thank you so much, Sir Walters. A system we can trust. I should add right there at the end. This has been Get the Facts. Our guest has been Acting Chief Regulator at the Government Electrical Regulator, Seymour Walters. Thank you for watching, and you have gotten the facts. But until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Take good care.